Trick Trades lesson and recap for Thursday, December 5th. Today was an absolute masterclass. Don't mind if I do pat myself on the back for trade plans and having contingency plans, what will happen next, why it'll happen. I'll go into a little bit of detail with that, but it would be probably a half an hour recap, at least at a minimum, to really explain how things went today on screen share. But members can really attest to uh, how amazing it really was today. You know, just really laying out how and why the markets do what they do. You know, maybe before I get into the recap, discussing trade plans and the design of the market, why markets do what they do. You know, a lot of inconsistencies of day trading comes from not understanding, not being educated. Um, that's where fear comes from. Fear comes from at the base layer, the fear of the unknown, right? And when you know and you understand how things work, how things operate. Let's say you've never rebuilt an engine before on a truck or a car. Well, obviously, you're going to be a little fearful that you're going to fuck it up, right? But when you understand and you educate yourself before you tie into the process, there's no fear. There's confidence and competence. And that's the same thing with this. And a lot of people love to spout that the typical regurgitated 90% of traders fail, but they don't believe it because their actions show that they're not believing it because they're not putting effort and energy into actually um, really trying to nail this process down. And it's a big problem. And this is one of the reasons why it's so important to learn from someone and have a coach. A lot of people have this like weird notion that like, oh, I'm not paying for that. It's like, yeah, but you're about to attempt one of the hardest careers on the planet, if not the hardest uh, trajectory on the planet. So why wouldn't you get help? It's crazy. Like high powered CEOs have coaches and mentors. Professional athletes have coaches. Why would you attempt to do something like this without it? I don't get it. There's a lot to know and a lot to understand. And a lot of people think that it's all strategy. Once I have a strategy, I'm good. Strategy is about this much when it comes to the world of trading and the markets, folks. And I wish more new traders actually understood that. Now, before I go on an hour long rant, like I said, I wasn't going to do, let's get into the trades. First off, let's talk about SPY. Now, it's going to take me a little bit to wheel this in because I keep forgetting to save my default. It's on default and it's so fucking slow. But SPY was a trade that we were looking at taking short this morning. And if you watch yesterday's recap, it's the exact same reason why as we took on Qs. And when we have a level of protection where there is no more, it can't go any higher without a pullback. Now, obviously, I don't mean a little bit higher. I'm talking, pullback, remount, and push. It needs to fail here. Now, I'm talking from a day trading perspective. I'm not talking from an investing perspective or swing trading perspective. This is day trading. This is a channel for day traders. You have to know what type of fucking trader you are. But when it comes to this, as soon as it opened on this green push, and I went into detail in the pre-market plan of attack, where I go over the trade plans prior to the market open. And what I say that we're going to do, that's what we do once the market opens. And that's why we have the level of consistency that you really don't see anywhere else. We don't use scanners. We don't use any of that bullshit. We trade professionally. So on any green pop on SPY only, I said that we can take it short, and that's what we did. And if you take a look, my entries don't look normal at the beginning. Do you see how they're shitty entries? You rarely will see that on this channel when I post my entries. Do you see how they then become a lot better, way more consistent? Because this first initial trade is very different than the next two trades. The first trade is just about getting in because of the level of protection and understanding that they will have to drive it back into a support level. Now, be it down here, or right here, it will have to come lower before it comes up, folks. And there's a whole reason for it I'm not going to get into right now. But having the confidence in that, there's no fear, whacked it, gave it some size, and simply paid myself, continued working this trade. Now you may see this last entry right here, right at the scariest moment. You might be asking yourself, well, why would you take that? It's squeezing, right? Well, it's because you're not watching both markets at the same time. Q's right there, coming right back up into resistance from low of day. It will not break through that resistance level without a pullback, which it did. It actually came right back into what I call natural. It's a natural level of support. That's part of the crystal ball series, where it's like basically having a crystal ball. You can see the future. You know exactly where these are going to pull back into, but it can't. So from low of day, it cannot push through this level. It can't do it. It needs to pull and retest. That's part of natural movement theory. That's proprietary to me and Tricktrades. At some point, I will be doing either a video series or a book on that natural movement theory. But for right now, crystal ball is it. And if you want a true price action, like the quintessential price action course or handbook, however you want to look at it, that's it. You will have the ability to see the future after watching that. So with that, that's why I'm entering right there. It cannot just push higher. It won't do that. It will pull back, and it'll pull back first to here, which it did right there. This is part of natural movement theory, man. And then the secondary, it paused right there, and then finally lower to here. It's small little incremental areas that you can watch for. But anyways, adding there, paying myself on the walk back. And I even said that this can come all the way down, but I paid myself back into support because it has the ability to bounce. And then obviously it fell apart after morning was done. That's great. But locking in $4,725 on that trade with zero stress. And then on Q's was a long coming down into this level. Now you may be looking at that and be like, well, it didn't come anywhere into the level. Well, that's because you're not snapping crosshairs. It's actually a lot closer into this level than what it looks like. It's only 50 cents away. And that was our start point. That's where we would start averaging into the pre-market low area. Well, it came in there and it bounced. That's why you start averaging in early, folks, because it has an ability and a potential to bounce there instead of waiting right for this level. That's why you'll miss a lot of trades. So started in there, just a quick little trade, locking in an additional $2,325 on that. So overall, locking in almost, well, about $7,000 on the morning session within the first 30 minutes. I mean, it just doesn't get any fucking better than that, man. A lot of people are slaving away, working 8, 10, 12, 16, 20-hour days and making nowhere near that. And this is why it's so important that you work hard now and you work towards a goal and you actually get good at something before you start applying pressure and size. Understand why the markets do what they do. Not bias, not what you think the markets are doing, but what they are actually doing. That's two fucking separate things, man. And that took me years to understand. I used to think I knew what the market was doing. Big fucking mistake, man. That's not what it's about. It's about actually knowing what the markets are doing and how they're designed and why they do this, why they do that, why they won't do this and won't do that. That's even more important. Just like here, why it will not push higher. It looks like it will, but it won't. It's right now, I know this lesson and recap's been a little bit all over the place, but I think if you really understand what's going on here on the charts and why it cannot push higher, even at that scariest moment, it's about understanding on a secondary. It's about understanding that smart money institutions day trade very differently than us. They're trying to stop people out. And I said that right at the beginning of the day, just because of how they opened it up and where they opened SPY up. That's what they're trying to do. And you could see these flickers and these pops, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to instill panic into retail traders. That's how they day trade. They don't day trade like us. They don't take setups. It's not how smart money trades. They have the means and the ability to fuck us retail traders and trap us. And it doesn't take much. It's very easy to do. So when you understand that, you know where they're driving it up to and why they're doing what they're doing. So there's no stress. A lot of people talk about how trading is stressful. There's no fucking stress, man. None. Why? Because it's about understanding. So, anyways, folks, I'm going to wrap this one up. If you want to learn how to truly become a professional day trader and do this properly and consistently, come to tricktrades.com. Adios.